Hello there, Internet. Thank you so much for joining me in my shoulder workout today. So I'm starting here with my rear delt cable work. I do it with kind of 3 different variations in this mashup drop set superset. So basically just kind of 1 round on each side to get things started. And on that note too, I was watching John Meadows' video today, may he rest in peace, and it was some crazy rear delt work, and it was like his last set they were doing like reps up to 90, and he said, I don't care who you are, what you're doing. Sorry, I'm not good at doing his awesome accent, but I think it's just American accent, but it's different for me. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. Rear delts could use high rep, super high rep. They're going to grow with high rep. So basically that was the point. Again, I butchered it. And I watched that video after doing this today. So, I mean, yeah, obviously with this kind of drop set work, it is high rep, but it's nothing like sets of 90. Not saying I'm going to like jump into super high sets to that degree, but I do think I am going to incorporate some really, really high rep rear delt stuff, like even beyond what I'm doing here, and just see how it goes, because you know how it goes, John Meadow knows, and that's how it goes. So just gotta think about that going forward, not being afraid to use weights that are so light that I would get 30 plus reps and beyond, and just kind of see what happens. I absolutely love training my rear delts. It's like one of my favorite things to train, and I do just feel like they can handle the reps, they can handle the volume, and they're only going to be better for it. So just a little experiment that I'm going to throw in the mix. After this, I did do a new thing, well, new for you, of my Smith machine overhead press. So this was my second time trying it, and I do really like it. Very, very nice feel of like continuous tension. So it is a different feel than just doing the barbell one. I also feel like I can kind of push myself those last few reps. I feel like I can push myself a bit better, like I'm in a more like fixed locked position, so there's not so much like lower back rounding or like core not staying fully braced or whatever. Just feels like I can hammer out those last few reps, and with continuous tension I think that it could be a great thing to keep in the mix. And again, just gonna see how things go. And oh, another thing with my Smith machine, one thing that's another thing that sorry, saying thing too often. Another thing that I'm going to see what happens with it is like how it impacts my crookedness, to be forced to like basically have each half of me in the same pattern, in the same movement, because I am crooked. My upper body is definitely very crooked, but primarily doing free weights or things where my hands are not connected. Like even with my standard overhead press, I was allowed to be more crooked because of obviously not having a barbell on a fixed path, and so I was allowed to like do things crooked and different on one side, and one side was going to lift slower than the other and be a little bit twistier over here, and it does seem to be on my left side, whatever's going on. But when I'm in my Smith machine, I'm forced to like be in this place where I can like really, really see my crookedness, because the one side that usually gets to do whatever it wants to do can't anymore, and it is forced to be in the place that I guess it's supposed to be. It's just a weird thing, I guess, for me to see, because it's very noticeable to me. Like in the mirror looking at myself, I just think, holy shit, this is one crooked girl. But I'm just kind of wondering how the Smith machine, I guess, is going to factor into that, if it eventually goes away, because that or arm is forced to be in a place that in a way that it's usually not, does that, it has a mind of its own, does whatever it wants. Now it can't. So pretty much everything I do upper body wise with the Smith machine is in that place now. I also in the future did again, for the sake of Smith machine, create straight crookedness, I did Smith upright rows, which I really like how those feel, but again, very crooked in the mirror, as well as doing kind of like a rear delt row, where I have kind of like a much wider grip than a regular bent over row, and just kind of like elbow flared. I do that in the Smith machine. I also do it with my cable machine, where it's seated row on the floor there, and grip that way wide, really target rear delts that way. So I might like that version better than the Smith machine version. But I don't see any harm in kind of having both of them in here. Oh, and what I didn't mention, sorry, got myself rambling. After my Smith overhead press, as you can see here, I am doing my Viking behind the neck press. Again, I do really like this movement. Did a couple rounds of fewer high rep sets here. And then that's when I moved on to my lateral raises, supersetted with Smith upright row for a few rounds. And what else did I do? I think I did. Oh shit, guys, I'm sorry. I forget what I did after this. I think I started getting like really obsessive. Well, started. I just started after this. I think I kind of already went into it being obsessive, but whatever. I also did some cable lateral raises. And again, and you'd see, speaking about the point of crookedness, I mean, I know everybody has imbalances. And very few people are like perfectly symmetrical unless you're like super professional bodybuilder, has a trainer, and you have like a team working on you to help with any kind of issues with twisting and muscle tightness or whatever, fascia and that sort of thing. But most of us have these imbalances. Most of us has bigger muscles on one side or the other or whatever, even if we train things the same. I mean, it drives me nuts. But to that point, when I was doing my cable lateral raises, I got one set of 8 on one side, turn around, do the other side. I could only get 6 because I couldn't physically do it, so I had to wait a few seconds to get the last couple reps out to make it match. And that is my crappy side that wants to be like twisted in a different way, and I'm no longer letting it twist in that different way, and it just screams at me in the mirror, you guys. You probably think I'm exaggerating, but if you actually saw what I see in the mirror with like the crazy crookedness, I don't know what's going on, but I just know that it ain't symmetrical. And you know, honestly, it may never be, but whatever. Was getting quite obsessive with this workout. Again, this is something that I did this morning. So I worked out from 5 until 6 this morning. And sometimes those workouts, like, I have a tendency to let my brain get away from me just because I think it's kind of like, holy shit, you know, what planet are we on? Because it can be kind of alarming waking up that early. Where are we? What's going on? And my brain isn't in like a very stable place. It's sort of just in like, holy shit, the world exists. I'm existing. Let's start the day. What's going on? So my brain sometimes isn't in this like calm, focused place where a lot of my weekend workouts, my brain is a lot more settled. Not every early morning workout before work is like that. It's just that some of them are. I don't know what causes it to happen versus some days where it doesn't happen at all and I can still have those more peaceful, focused sessions regardless of the hour. It doesn't seem to be for any rhyme or reason or pattern. It's just unfortunate. This was one where my brain got away from me and I was getting just upset thinking that things were not good enough and I wasn't working hard enough and that it wasn't worth the 4 a.m. or whatever, getting up 4:40 to do it. Like it was just, I felt like I had to, more than ever, the pressure was on to like justify it, because if you're going to get up at that crazy hour, well, damn well better be worth it. You know, otherwise you'd just stay in bed. So I think I put too much pressure on myself to be like, make every minute worth it and work as hard as you possibly can. I don't have those feelings when I'm doing a leg day and probably not when I'm doing a back day either. It's just this special case of shoulders where I've got to like force myself, you know, put that pressure on to justify the early hour of doing it. And I don't know why. It's like this weird shoulders afterthought kind of thing, but that doesn't really it's not really true because I care a lot about my shoulders. I just don't ever see really a ton of change in them. Maybe that's what it is. Is that I never, you know, have been satisfied with my shoulder development. So trying to justify a really early morning workout when, you know, the actual shoulders themselves are never anything that you want them to be. It's like, why bother, I guess, is the mentality. Not that I like actually having that kind of brain and those are thoughts that I quickly push out or whatever, suck it up, but whatever it was, just anxiety during this workout, work harder, this was stupid, this looked bad, and all that kind of stuff. And I guess just a real sense for shoulders in particular, especially now that I stopped doing my strict overhead press with a barbell where I knew exactly the weights, reps, sets, whatever that I was going to hit. It was very organized and pre-planned. When it was a strength focused thing, like that sense of I know that I'm done, which is a hard thing to change from if you're switching from powerlifting to bodybuilding. I'm sure lots of people who have done that have experienced the same thing. Well, I don't know when I'm done, because when you're doing the strength training, it's just very organized of like, okay, I'm hitting these numbers because this means progression, and I'm adding this here, whatever, adding this weight, adding this rep, adding this set, and that means that I am done. And then I know that I can close the book, I'm done. But in this situation, when it's more of a bodybuilding focused thing, I just feel like, well, I never know when to close the book and consider the workout enough. Consider it done. Because especially when it's shoulders and it doesn't exhaust the hell out of me, like a leg workout, for example, I don't have those feelings with leg day. I know leg day is done, and then I feel like crap for a really long time. I know it's done. But I have those feelings. With shoulders, I just feel like I could train shoulders forever. And like I said, I could do rear delts for an hour. It's hard to get that sensation of being done because, sorry, I was going to say dumb. It's hard to get the sensation of being done because it doesn't tax me out as much as other workouts do, but it did when I was overhead pressing quite heavy weight for me, as well too, of course, when I was throwing in bench work and that sort of thing. I would get taxed out at least, and I would know that I'm done. I can't lift my arms or whatever. But with shoulders, I just feel like, again, I could do this for a really long time and not really feel like it's done because I could just physically, I could handle doing more. And that the done aspect is because I ran out of time. And so then I feel kind of rushed and stressed because I just feel like I got to do a million things, and there's nothing in my head that says, well, you're done even if you have more time because you're tired and you couldn't squeeze out more reps with good form or what have you, or that this was clearly very much enough. It's just that special case of shoulders. I only have that feeling when it comes to shoulders. So I threw in like a ton more work than originally I had planned in my app just because I was having a hard time feeling that. And again, I don't have that issue with any of the other body parts that I train. Back day is very clear to me when it's done. So just something like for me to work on mentally is trying to come into this like a bit more structured. And I don't know if it's possible for me to try to find ways to tax myself out a little bit more. The superset stuff seems to do really well with shoulders, so I may try to get a bit more creative with that. Like the lateral raises with the upright row, that was decently taxing. So just, I guess, just some food for thought for myself to think about before I go into the next shoulder workout and turn into a bit of a crazy person that is just incapable of feeling satisfied. But anyways, everybody, I'm about to embark on my Western Canada road trip. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.